All right, so you want to open your logos. I'm going to hit Command A to select them all and say type, create outlines. We can see it's grayed out because everything is in outlines. So your logos you handed to me should be in outlines. All right, so for our business cards, what we're going to do is we're going to take these vector-based images, logos, vector-based logos, and we are going to convert them to pixel-based. So what we'll do first is we'll just select one of your logos. You're going to hit Command C on the Mac, Control C on the PC, Command N on the Mac, Control N on the PC, and you just want letter. If it's not on letter, go to print and you can grab a letter. Then you're going to hit Create, and you have a blank document. Now you will hit Command or Control V for victory. You managed to paste it onto another document. Hooray. Okay, so make sure it's big enough for a business card. You don't want it real tiny. And the reason for that is you could make something too big and shrink it down, and that's okay. But if you make something too small and try and blow it up, that's a bad thing. You don't want to be doing that. So there is our logo. And now we're going to say File, Export, Export As. And my desktop is a mess, but that's okay. Maybe I'll go, you can save it wherever you want. I think I'll go to another folder so it doesn't look so crazy. Okay, not that one either. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to save it here in my pictures folder. You can save it in any folder you want. And I'm going to go down here and I am going to choose TIFF. TIFF means tagged image file format. I'm going to call it logo 1. Now, on the Mac, you can hit new folder, and I believe on the PC you can control click in this window to make a new folder, but you want to keep all this organized in a folder since these will be linked together. So I'm going to hit new folder. I'm going to type business cards, and I'm going to hit create, and then I'm going to hit export to export my vector-based image as a TIFF, which is a pixel-based format. I'm going to hit export. Now right here we have our options. Now when we've uploaded things, we've had it RGB, we've changed it to RGB, but we want it cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. That's what these stand for, CMYK. That is what printers will use. We want it 300 pixels per inch, and you want to keep the anti-aliasing on, because what that does is it feathers out the edges on your type to keep it from looking jagged. We also have LZW compression, which will shrink down the image a tiny bit. And the nice thing about this compression is, unlike a JPEG, it's a lossless compression. Saving things as a JPEG, also that depends on how much you compress your JPEG, you do lose image quality. This one doesn't lose any image quality. And we're going to hit OK. There we go. And let's grab another. I'll grab this one. So you can grab ones from your recreations or your original logos. I'm going to hit, I copied it, Command C, Control C. I'm going to hit Command or Control V and File, Export, Export As. I'm going to call it Logo 2. And I will change it to TIFF. And I will hit Export. CMYK, 300 pixels per inch. That anti-aliasing is fine. LZW compression. Embed ICC profile is fine. Just hit OK. Delete. And the reason we can delete it is we're just using this page as a jump off point to export these into their new file format from mathematical vectors to pixel-based images. So Command C or Control C, Command or Control V, File, Export, Export As. I'm going to call it Logo 3 and TIFF. And it should be, the defaults should be set now, and it should just come up correctly, hopefully. I'll grab another. I'll grab this one. Command C or Control C. Command or Control V. File, export, export as. We have it on TIFF. Make sure it's down here. Now, your window might look like this, but you can click this little down arrow and you can see more details for navigating. I always do it like this. Maybe you don't like it, but for me, it makes it easier to see where I'm saving it. I'm going to hit export, CMYK 300. Our optimized C for sampling LZW compression. I'm going to hit OK. All right, so I have now saved 4 logos, so that's good. And that's okay. So you're going to open InDesign. We're going to say create new. Now, I don't have letter up, so I'm going to hit print, and there we go. There's letter. I'm going to hit create, and bam. So InDesign looks a lot like Illustrator, and you can see a lot of the same tools. If yours doesn't look like mine, make sure it's set to Advanced or Window Workspace Advanced. You want to make sure you have everything that I have on your screen. So InDesign is basically like it's a page layout program, and it's kind of like you would use it to make magazines, you would use it to lay out newspapers. So what it is you take your content and you organize it and you put your type in, and that's what it's for. It's not for drawing, it's not for editing things. I mean, it has some simple drawing tools, some simple editing tools, but it's really like a word processor on steroids for, laying out big fancy magazines or newspapers or anything with lots of pages. Okay, so now we're going to import one of our logos. So we're going to say File, and we're going to say Place, and it's Command D for dog or Control D for dog. And I'll just grab number 1. I'll just go in order. I'm going to hit Open. Now notice I get this little loaded cursor, and all I have to do is click, and there's my logo. I'm going to click the black arrow real quick. Now, notice it has this blue around it, and it can change to brown. Now, those are 2 different modes. So the blue, if it's blue, you can just move the whole thing. If it's brown, what happens is you move the logo within the box. So I've had people accidentally have it in this mode and move their logo, I better not deselect this here, all the way off, and they think it disappeared, but it didn't. I'm just going to hit Command or Control Z to put that back. All right, let me zoom back out. Now we're going to make a guide for our business cards. So hit D for the default. D on your keyboard gives you the default right here in the swatches. So the default in InDesign is different from Illustrator. The default in Illustrator is white fill, black stroke, and here it's no fill, black stroke, but that's great because that's what we want. Now you're going to hit M for mantra or mom or maple. Now we could click and drag out, but we're not going to. I'm going to delete that. We're going to just click once on the page and you will get this box up. Let me zoom in. And you can see that this is not in inches, and I'm going to give you the measurement for a business card in inches, but that's okay because InDesign can figure it out. So I'm going to type 3.5 And then I'll go down here and type 2IN. And when I click back up here, you're going to see that's the equivalent in picas of 3.5IN and 2IN. Now I'll hit OK. And I've got me a little guide. And I'll move it over my logo. Now, if your logo is too big, you can click on it. And if you're set to advanced, you should have this up here. And you notice it says minus. You never want to go up. Don't go up, because that will print out pixely, and whoever you're working for will not be amused by you. So you want to go down. So there it is, less. Now here's the thing I really hate, and I want them to change this. I think it should say 75% here. And then you know how much you shrank it down. Mine didn't need to be shrank down, so I'm going to undo it. Command or Control Z. Another way to do this is S for the scale tool, and this is your scale tool. And you can double click it and type in a percentage. Make sure you do. There we go. This is locked, so you want to keep them the same. You can do it that way. I'll hit OK. Now I'm going to hit Command Z to undo it, or I'm still on the scale tool. I can go to the corner here and shrink it down. Always hold your shift down. That shift trick is something you should do all the time. Squish things don't look professional. So when you hold the shift down, you always go with the mouse before you let go of the shift key. Otherwise it can jump and squish and look terrible. All right, there we go. All right, so now we have our logo. Now we're gonna put some text in here. Ooh. And to do that, you need the type tool. And you want to have your character box up for this, and that is Command or Control T. And the other one we want is the paragraph box window. Type in tables, paragraph. And I didn't give the hotkey for this because this is the Mac hotkey, but the PC one's probably different, so I don't want to confuse people. Window, oh, I already had it open, then it disappeared. Type in tables, paragraph. There it is, way down here. I'll drag that up. And make sure window links is up. Okay, do you want those three up? Character, Command T, paragraph, which is under window, type in tables, paragraph. You want your links, which is under window links. And I'm going to take a second to stop who's ever sending me messages. Now we need to put some type in this. So you can see there's a type tool, and it's T on the keyboard. And in fact, if I click on this, type on a path is there, but none of the other more complex type tools are there. That's the kind of thing you would do in Illustrator and bring into here. But we just want the plain type tool, so T on your keyboard. Now notice, let me zoom in, if I just click, I can't just click and type. In this program, you have to make a text box. And I'm going to click and drag. Now be careful, if you click like in the wrong place, it's going to make your shape a text box, which you don't want. You want to keep it separate. And if you're having trouble drawing inside the box, you can just click and drag and draw a box below it and then move it up. Okay. Oops. And let me zoom in. I'm going to type in the Who. Now, with stuff like this, you can really use some of those things, like some of the things we've talked about so far, kerning being one with how close the letters are. But first I want to pick a font, and I'm going to look for one that is definitely not conflicting with this one. And these are sans, and I don't know which sans they are, so I'm going to just grab American Typewriter. I think I'll make it bold. So when you're doing business cards, You want to make a couple things big, but not everything. If you make everything big, then you have no focal point. So you want the important things to be big. So I'm going to have Heather Webster be big. Oh, crud. Sorry about that. I accidentally got into there we go. The wrong box clicking. If you notice, it was blinking up here because I accidentally clicked in this box. Don't do that. Stay in your type box. InDesign likes to make everything a type box. And it's useful, but it can be tough for people who are new. All right, so I'm going to highlight photographer. My font is American typewriter, and it's a font that has a lot of, it has condensed and condensed bold, light, regular, semi-bold. So I'm going to choose light. Now this is Concord. It's the same font. The whole thing is the same font. I'm going to make that a little smaller. And now, let me move this over here, and I will zoom in. I'm going to go here. I'm going to go down to plus, maybe I should zoom out. There we go, plus 200. And I'm just spreading it out. Now that's not enough, so I'm just putting my cursor in here. You can put your cursor in there, and there it is, blinking. And now I'm going to hit the up arrow. I want this to go all the way to the side, to be honest, and I want Heather Webster to as well. Let's see. You can, I'm going to type in 13.5 because you can do that. And maybe 1. Right, so I think that looks pretty good. Oh, you know what? You always want to align things, and this isn't quite aligned. If I look at the top of this, it's not aligned. So you can hit Command or Control R, and you will get these rulers up here. And when you get them, all you have to do is take your black arrow. Sorry. So you got to be careful when you're on the type tool. If you hit some of the keys to pick other tools, it'll type a letter. Now I'm going to click with my black arrow, and I'm going to drag it down to the top of this logo because I want it to be aligned. And then I'll just move down. There we go. Now it's perfectly aligned across the top. That is one of the easiest things you can do to make stuff look professional. Just keep it aligned. All right, I would like a line. So you can see the hotkey there is the backward slash. And I'm going to hold the shift down because once again, I want to keep my line nice and straight. I don't want it kind of going wonky. And there we go. And maybe I'll move it down a little. Now notice once I've chosen the line, I have all of these things up here I can change. And if you don't see those, you can go Window in the menu, Stroke, and bring a box up just for the line. I'm going to go through, let's see, I think it needs maybe to be a little thicker because I can't see what I did. That's probably way too much. I'm going the wrong direction. There we go. Not sure I like that one. And you're under no obligation to use the line at all. You can use it if you want to. Now, let's say you're typing stuff and you want to change whether it's centered or not. Do not hit the space bar. That is the worst thing you can do. And in fact, let me pull this box out so I can show you. Now right now I've got it lined up all nice and I don't really want to change it, but I'll just show you. In the paragraph box, you can do left aligned, right aligned, centered, justified where it spreads it out the size of the whole box, justified where it spreads it out, justified where it spreads it out and keeps the last line left aligned, where it spreads it out and keeps the last line centered, keeps the last line right aligned. Just force justifies all of them. I'm going to go back to the one I had because that looks nice. But use those. People use the space bar, and I'll see all these, you know, where they hit it, because you can see that stuff if you go type, show hidden characters, and you can see there's a space bar where I hit the space bar, and that shows me what people did. I'm going to turn those off because for now you don't need that. All right, I want another guide for the bottom of this logo, so I'm going to pull another guide down. And that looks good, perfect. Now I'm going to click this box. I'm going to hold the Option or the Alt down if you're on a PC. And I want it to stay straight, so I can also hold the Shift down, which will keep it going straight down. I think I'm just going to move it up and start typing. Now I'm going to be typing like general info, like where the person lives, that kind of thing. And you don't want that in a huge font. So I'm just going to go here to its American typewriter. And that's the nice thing about copying your box, is it'll keep the font, and you can just change what's in it. I'm going to put this back to 0, and so nothing is crazy spread out. I think we want it to be like 9 maybe. You don't need huge text on a business card. The only things you want big are the two or three things you think are really important. So I'm going to put the address. Ooh, I don't like that bold. I think that's too heavy, so let me click down here. Make it light. There we go. Haven Court. I'm totally making this stuff up. You can totally make stuff up if you want to. Webster, New York, 14332 585. Now here you should put a period. Let me show you both. 585 342 7883. Okay. Let me just copy that. I'll hit return and paste it. And I'll do it the old school way. So hopefully when you look at this, you see that this doesn't look as clean, as clear, as nice as this. So I want you to do this. It just looks so much cleaner. It looks so much nicer. All right. Photo.com. So there we go. So now we see the person's name. I think I see photographer second. I think you could probably go down here. And this is smaller font. This is 9 point down here, as you can see, 9 point. And this is 13 point. It's much bigger. So you could take a look at this and decide, is there anything you want to make bold? And it would be kind of nice because it would match this bold up here. Do you want the website bold or the phone number? I think I'll pick the website, and I'm going to choose a bold font, the bold version of American typewriter. So I used one font for this whole thing. I don't want you to use any more than 2, and they should always be contrast if you choose to. Concord is all the same font, so only contrast, no conflicting fonts. Please don't do it. All right, so now when I look at that, I see her name, I see photographer, and I see her website. It's nice and clean, easy to read, and that's what you want with design. Like, you put your creative efforts into like making logos or doing illustrations, but when it comes to type and stuff, you're putting creative effort into it, but you want it to be clear to read. You want to get your information across efficiently. So some of you might be saying, oh, these blue boxes. And indeed, some people thought that even these would print, the blue boxes around everything. And they will not print. Those will not print. Those are guides and they don't print. However, sometimes when you're trying to get a good idea of how your design looks, they get in the way. So I'm going to go View, Extras, and it's right here, Hide Frame Edges. Now this is the Mac hotkey combination. I don't know what the PC one is, but it's View, Extras, Hide Frame Edges. And then I'm going to say View, Hide Guides. And now I can just get a clean look at that. I think that looks nice and clean, very easy to read. I'm not sure if I need that line of circles, but that's okay. All right, so let me continue here. I'm going to zoom out and make sure nothing is selected, because here I'll select this and I'll say File, Place, because I want to grab another logo. And you'll see that it goes into that box, because just like with the text tool trying to make every box a text box, when you say File, Place, it'll become a box that's holding your graphic, and you don't want that. So just, at least for this project, you don't. Make sure nothing's selected and say File, Place, which is Command or Control D. I'm going to grab number 2. I'm going to hit Open. And then I'm just going to bring them all in. File, Place. I'll grab number 3. I'll hit Open. Oh, we had a problem with the file. Oh, I didn't uncheck the box and I put it over the other one. Let's go back and get number 2. And I'll make sure nothing's selected. File, Place. Open. And one more time, let me make sure it's not selected. File, Place. 4. Open. All right, so let's take a look at this links box now. You see that every logo you bought in is here in these links. And you can see a little number beside it. If you click that number, it's going to select the logo. And that's telling you that Indesign is going to the folder where you save these to find the information about these different links. And when you click on them, you can see down here, it's going to tell you the resolution and that you saved it CMYK and that it's TIFF. So these aren't really in the document. The document is just referring to a folder where they're located. And if you were to send this to someone without those links, it wouldn't print right. One more thing I want to show everybody in case they're having some trouble. Let's see. Under Display Performance, I'm not sure what your default might be. Mine is set to high quality, but I'll show you if I set it to typical. You can notice it looks pixely. And if I go to View and I set it to fast, they're all just gray boxes. Why on earth would we have these low-res displays or no displays? Well, if you had like a 500-page catalog full of images and you're trying to master all your text in it and make sure everything's spelled right and all that, having these images show high quality could really slow you down. But for us, we're just doing some little business cards and it won't be a problem. So I'm going to go back to View and say high quality display because I want to see them nice and sharp and not looking crappy. All right, so I want you to have 5 of your logos in here and 5 business cards. And I want you to have 4 that are logos that are TIFFs and are linked. I want you just to go to Adobe, Illustrator, and where your logos are. And I want you to just grab one of your logos, just select it. Oops, I got too much stuff there. Okay. Perfect. Then you're going to hit Command C or Control C for copy. Now go back to InDesign and take a look at your links and hit Command or Control V for victory. Let me move this. Notice there's no links here. What you've done now is you didn't convert it to a pixel-based image. It's still a vector-based image. And you can hold that shift down and resize it as much as you want, or shrink it down as much as you want, and nothing as bad is going to happen to the image. You could have done all of them like this, but I don't want you to do that. I want you to understand linking files because it's so important. And if any of you are web design people, it's the same concept where you have your folder and you have your images you're linked to, and if those disappear, you get that question mark on your website. It's the same idea. Okay, so I think for you guys, an easy way to finish this project is I'm just going to click and grab this, and I'm going to hold my Alt or Option. I'm going to copy it a few times. All right. You can also have this box go another direction if you want. You can, I'm just going to rotate it, or you could make another. You could just type in the size being 2IN by 3.5 IN. So now the width would be 2IN and the height would be 3.5. All right, and now just going to hold the shift down. I would think now that I need to finesse this some. I don't know that I want that line on this one, and I think I want to change this in my paragraph box to align center. And I'll just tell you now, if you center something, center the whole thing. Don't mix centered alignment with other alignments. You can mix left and right, but don't mix centered. And if you mess it up, I'm not going to take any points off. It's just something that is good to know. I don't think I need any different fonts for that one. There we go. I think this one that's not really aligned. I think I need to, I don't really want those. That line. Another thing you can do is you can take some of the colors from your logo if you have colors in it. I'm going to highlight it, and then there's an eyedropper tool. I'll just hit, oops, the eyedropper tool, and I'll choose the pink. That looks pretty nice. I think I'll make this other thick one pink. And again, maybe I'll change this a little. Hold that shift down. And I can change what font I have. There, I think that looks kind of nice. If I weren't doing a demonstration right now, I think I'd go back and maybe just take the fish and not Heather Webster under it, or we could just maybe have photographer be big because it already says Heather Webster. And I've got room to make that even bigger, maybe. Perfect. All right. I think I'm going to align it to maybe the bottom here. All right. So I'm not going to go through and do all these business cards. I've done 3 so far, but you're going to do 5, and again, you're going to have these links and then one that you just pasted in that's a vector. And let me show you real quick what happens if we throw out one of those links. So let's say I go to my folder and I take one of the logos out. Let's see, I'll take this one and I'll put it down here in the garbage. And when I come back, you're going to see that it's saying, whoa, what'd you do to that link? And if you sent this to the printer, it would cause a problem. So I'm going to take it out of the trash and put it back in the folder where it's used to seeing it. It's like, this is supposed to be in the folder. So there we go, I'll put it back. And let's see, it should, did I grab the wrong one? I threw a bunch in the trash, let's see. No, that was the right one. 'Tis being a crank. Well, if it's giving you issues relinking, you can click the question mark. And it'll open up and take that one right there. That's the one we want there. But you don't want that question mark. You never want that question mark. You want to keep your linked files. If you don't manage them, your stuff won't print out right. And it's part of the reason you're a professional and another person isn't. Okay, so I'm not going to finish them, but I'm going to show you how to package them. And so, let me just throw that in there. I'm sorry, I want to finish them so badly. This is one I think I would do a different direction. Okay, so we're going to package them. And how do we package them? Well, I'm going to save it first. And now I'm going to say File. And I'm going to the bottom. And I'm going to go to Package. If there's any exclamation points here, that is bad, and your project will get no credit. So this is a pass-fail project where you simply either complete the project correctly and get 100, or you complete it wrong and you get a 0. All right. So right here it says I've used 3 fonts. I have 4 links. My colors, it's very happy with my colors. It's not complaining about them, which it would if there was RGB in there. And I'm just going to hit package. Now this makes a folder, so it's going to be business card folder. That's going to be your name. And I'm going to save it to the desktop. And I'm going to hit package. And boom, it did it. Now sometimes something comes up that might say overset text. That would mean that you had maybe some extra text in the box that wasn't showing. Don't panic, I won't take off for that. Just hit OK. All right, let me go to my desktop and my business cards, and here they are. So let's take a closer look at this, my business card folder. Let me open it up actually. There. So what do we have here? This IDML is a little descriptor file that Indesign uses to keep all the same preferences that you had. Business cards INDD is the actual Indesign file. Business cards PDF is a lovely standalone PDF of my unfinished business cards. And generally you could send this to the printer. Usually PDFs are fine, but occasionally they won't print right. And if that's the case, the person could still open this InDesign document and they would have all the fonts you use, because when you package it, you copy all the fonts to your folder and you copy all the links to your folder. And after you package it, this is how I want you to place it in. I want you to take your business card folder and place this in your folder on the Google Drive. That's what I want. I want it packaged with all the fonts, with all the links. I gave you a lot of design talk, but I'm not judging the design. I'm judging that you can get the folder together correctly. And let me show you one more little trick that might be helpful. if you have your business cards and you're moving between computers and you're working on different computers and it keeps coming up with that pink telling you you don't have the font. You can also save your fonts in here by going File, Package, and the same thing. Oop, gotta save it. Okay. You can package your document and it will click any links in any fonts. Now, in the case of this, there's no fonts because it's in outlines. But if you're working on something, it's a good way to collect all the fonts you use and always have them. And it's how you should always store something. Package it and store it as a package with all the fonts you used, with all the links. Then if at some point someone comes to you and says, oh, I like this, but now it needs to be a different color. And then you're not running around, oh my gosh, what font did I use and what little graphic did I have and where is it? It's all ready to go.